This video is not for whales and dolphins, it's for you because you are just like me. Average Art Gamer here, and if you're anything like me, you've been seeing all the info come out on Yixuan, and it's been getting you kind of excited about Yixuan. But there are still potentially some reasons as to why we should hold off on pulling for Yixuan, and some of this will depend on the state of your account or your outlook on Zenless Zone Zero as a whole. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why you should and why you shouldn't be pulling for Jiggle. Yixuan. Okay, so let's start with the why you shouldn't first, and then we'll move on to why I am going to, and then also why you potentially should as well. So first things first, she's not as strong as Miyabi. She works differently to Miyabi with her sheer force mechanic, which negates enemy defenses. And if you're just looking for a character with the best scaling and the strongest DPS in the game, she's not it right now. But, and we'll talk about this a lot more under the why you should umbrella, but what she will offer is she's going to offer you a way to deal a buttload of damage to the inevitable bosses that will be built around Yixuan. Now, I say bosses, but that's not actually known. It might just be one boss, but there will be at least one boss that really wants you to have that sheer force mechanic and really wants you to have ether damage. So I guess what I'm saying is that, like, yeah, she might not be as strong as Miyabi, but on the other side of that coin, there will be a shield boss, and we'll talk about that some more in just a moment. Okay, the other reason why you might not want to pull for Yixuan is that she's rerunning with Astra. Astra is the best support in the game. If you see my 5 best characters in Zenless Zone Zero video, you'll know that I think that Astra is the best character in the game because she enables you to play whatever you want to play. You want to play DPS Lucy? Yep, Astra can make it work. Basically, whatever you want to do, you can make it work with Astra. So the fact that she's rerunning with Astra and the potential that you may have a different character that you really love as a DPS, maybe it's Sambi, maybe it's Yixuan, maybe it's Evelyn, and you want to take them to the next level so that you can continue to clear content with your favorite character, then actually maybe you should consider Astra over Yixuan. We'll talk on this a little bit more when we talk about the why you should section, but yeah, maybe you should consider pulling Astra over Yixuan. Not everyone is going to be able to get both, and not everyone has already got Astra right now. I think another thing about Yixuan that you should be aware of going into her is that she could be a little bit complicated. Right now, as far as we know, the skill ceiling with her does seem pretty high. She's got a lot of different mechanics and a lot of different moves that she can do. I think this is really interesting and exciting, and I'll talk about that some more on the other side of things. But if you're more of a player who likes to kind of just mash the buttons, get the rewards, see the characters do cool stuff, and you enjoy the game's story, she may not be the right pick for you. Now, from what I've seen from the early access creator beta stuff, it does seem like people are saying that you can still just mash buttons and get what you want, but potentially as we get deeper and deeper into the game, you not being able to execute all of her mechanics properly might actually hold you back a little bit, and therefore you may be better off waiting for a different agent who enables you to kind of just hold the button down, i.e. Miyabi. And another reason why you might not want to pull for Yixuan right now is that she's not complete, and I think it makes sense that she's not complete because she's launching as a very strong DPS in the game, as we've already talked about. She's maybe second to Miyabi right now, but when she comes out, she won't have a complete team because Jufufu is not out yet and will be coming out in the second half. So all of the early access stuff that we're seeing right now is not based on including Jufufu. So even though she still looks pretty good right now, if we rewind the clock a little bit back to 1.5, when Astra came out, Astra was, touted as an excellent support that most players should pull, and then Evelyn came out straight afterwards and took advantage of pretty much every single aspect of Astra's kit. Now, Yixuan is not launching in the same way, so actually the benefit that she might get from Jufufu in a few weeks after she launches, we aren't aware of right now, which also brings us to the point of, well, then maybe you should just wait. So let's just bring up that point as well. Yeah, most players probably should wait on pulling for Yixuan until we get a little bit more info on Jufufu, and also until we get the drip marketing for 2.1. So the thing that they've been doing with the drip marketing recently is that they've been delaying it until the new character is actually available on banner, and then they release the drip marketing for 2.1, for example, a few days after Yixuan's banner starts. So basically everyone who's really excited for Yixuan has already pulled for her before they tell us who's coming in 2.1. And if there's a character that really appeals to you in season 2, maybe it's the Thyron guy, maybe it's the bunny girl, maybe it's Orpheus, whoever it might be that you are really excited for, it might be worth holding off until at least a week or so into Yixuan's banner so that we've definitely had the drip marketing, and then you can make a more informed decision as to whether or not you want to pull for Yixuan. And like lastly, the last reason that I have here is that she still wants Astra. So when we heard that we're getting Yixuan and she was a HP scaling unit, at face value, I thought that was great. Finally, a unit that doesn't want Astra, except she actually converts 30% of the attack that she gets into sheer force, which is where all of her damage comes from, where she negates defense. And that means that Astra is still currently her best in slot along with the Panda. And we'll talk loads more about the Panda when we get onto the why you should section. So yeah, if you were hoping to run different supports or have a character that didn't need Astra, then right now that's not Yixuan. Hopefully it is Yixuan when we get jufufu. But again, like there's no guarantee of that. Okay, let's move on to the second half and why you should consider pulling for Yixuan. Right after this reminder that you probably aren't subscribed. Liking and subscribing is a great way to support creators like me on YouTube. You can also drop me a follow over on Twitch if you want to hang out while I yap about any of this stuff live. And you can also join the Discord to hang out with some cool, chill, Zenless Zone Zero peeps, ask for help, get build advice, all of that kind of stuff. So let's talk about why you should pull Yixuan and why I specifically am also going to be pulling Yixuan. Thing number one, have you seen the trailer where she fights Miyabi? Yeah, it was sick. While I'm not saying that I'm pulling Yixuan as a waifu pull, what I am saying is that I am really excited for her as a character. I like the way that she's been presented so far. I actually feel like that nonchalance she has as a character is incredibly interesting. It's kind of intriguing me more. I'm excited to learn a lot more about her in season 2. I am excited to pull for her from a character perspective. I will also say as well that I'm also really excited for the Panda, the Dragon Warrior, Pan Yinhu, and currently what Pan Yinhu does is that he provides a buff to that sheer force damage, which means that he only really works with Yixuan currently. And that actually is also part of the reason why I do want to pull for Yixuan, is because pulling for Yixuan is going to give you the Panda because he's available on her banner, and also Pulchra. It's a really good banner to pull on. So like if you're a free-to-play or low spend or newer player, pulling on that banner gives you a complete free-to-play team for Yixuan. And Yixuan's team flexibility, I know we talked earlier about the fact that jufufu is definitely going to increase her team flexibility as well, but her team flexibility currently is also pretty good. You can run her with the Panda that you're going to get from pulling from her, and then you could also run her with Astra, you could also run her with Pulchra, Caesar, Trigger, who wouldn't get the additional, Khalida can also work, but she's apparently not that great because she stuns too fast and you can't build up the stuff that you need for Yixuan. But yeah, you can mix and match some of those options if you don't necessarily want to run Panda, and it just means that she's going to be a really flexible, easy to use character. Oh, and Lucy. I forgot Lucy. I'm sorry. Lucy also will be great. And the last point I want to talk about then with why you should consider pulling her is that the way that the game has been working is that it's been slowly increasing HP. And we've talked about this. We've talked about HP inflation. It's been a long thing that we've been talking about. But it does seem like with this introduction of the sheer force stuff, that they're going to start going in a different direction, and they're potentially going to start buffing enemy defense, which means that you're really going to want a character that deals sheer force damage. Now, it might be that that's Yixuan. It might be that down the line we get other Rupture agents that can also do sheer force damage, and therefore you could also pull for them. However, what I will say is that getting Yixuan now means that you are ready for that eventual boss or bosses that come along that have really high defense, have really high ice resistance, so therefore you can't just brute force them with Miyabi. And pulling for Yixuan is going to make that journey a lot easier to clearing that content. I'm not saying that you need to pull her to get through these bosses that are going to be designed around you pulling her, because you will still be able to brute force with other characters, potentially not Miyabi, because I expect they will have like a Miyabi block, i.e. ice resistance and too much defense. But if you have the polychrome and you already have Astra and you want to have an easier time with the endgame content, then yeah, I think pulling Yixuan's a pretty good idea. To me, it feels like in Zenless, having different options on how you approach the endgame combat encounters is more useful, because when they start adding particular bosses with certain types of resistances, you'll have more options. Now, naturally, you can't pull for every character, but I think Yixuan being the first Rupture agent that we have is likely to see very good use for quite a while. And ultimately, I think that's the reason why I am going to decide to pull for her. But anyway, that's about enough out of me. Let me know down below what it is that you guys are planning to do. And as always, remember to like and subscribe for better average luck on all your pulls. Pull responsibly. Stay weird. Bye. Bye.